Welcome to Beyond Sight, Beyond Limits. This is Sudha Rajagopalan of Access Braille. We have been bringing stories of all the individuals who have tore down all kinds of barriers in their lives. Today, we have a guest, Deependra Manocha, who from childhood has shared one copy of a Braille book with 4 other students. 2, at the university, had to overcome so many barriers because the world is made for the sighted. His journey is one of resilience and courage. Much more than that, Deependra wanted to tear down all kinds of barriers for the next generation. He's a pioneer in accessible technology, inclusive STEM education, and having books that are accessible. Deependra, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sudha. Thank you so much, and thanks a lot for having me for this show.
Yes, Deependra is Director, Developing Countries, Daisy Consortium, as well as he's a founder and trustee of Saksham. Before we get into Daisy Consortium and Saksham, Deependra, I would like to know a little bit more about your childhood and how you overcame those barriers.
So, yes, I had a progressive eye condition, and I had gone from my childhood to reading my books myself till, say, about age 12, to when I became dependent on others for reading and unfortunately also for writing. So, that was a time when I shifted to a school. I had to shift a school because the school where I was studying did not feel confident at all in providing support. And this, as you said, we were in a situation at that time that we were finding ourselves lucky that we even had that one single copy of a Braille book that was shared amongst the 4 students with blindness in the class of 45. So we were in a integrated school where we are just 4 persons with blindness in the class of 45 children, and so we obviously had to sort of adjust with each other or sometimes fight with each other to get access to that Braille book when we were supposed to submit an assignment or things. Otherwise, we would rely on people, parents, friends, or relatives to read things out to us, and we would then make our own notes in Braille and all that. So that's the kind of situation where we were, where reading and writing especially meant that we were completely dependent on others. Besides other things, of course, but fortunately for when it came to mobility and other things, I was much better off because I was trained and I was given that liberty to move around alone with the help of a white cane. But when it came to reading and writing, the dependence was very bad. And the situation actually became worse when we crossed the school, because we still get some Braille books during school age at that time, but when it came to university, there were absolutely no books at all. So everything had to be read out by somebody else for you. So either you had the fortune of having somebody close by who was always available for you, or you hired some people who would do it. Most of my education, I was fortunate that I had a very lovely group of friends, and 4 of us, with 2 persons with blindness and 2 seeing persons together, had a group, and we sort of helped each other in whatever we could. And that's how education went.
So at the university, though, then you didn't have books, but you had some kind of a scribe system. And then you didn't have any accessible material either. Is that correct, Deependra?
So no accessible material at all. So it is only the recordings. Used to carry a cassette recorder with me and my braille writing equipment with me, and those were the things how I would take notes. Although in a way it also worked out to be positive, because then I got the permission to record the lectures, and then I would go back home and listen to those lectures at my own speed and then create notes. So many times the professors would say to the other class, if you really need good notes, take those notes from Deependra.
Well,
So
that is
that
awesome.
became a sort of a positive in a way, but obviously it took double the time to be given to the
Yes.
two studies than others. It worked in favor, because then you're forced to do go through the lecture at least twice, and then at your own pace where others were not doing it. But that meant that there was less time for leisure remaining than other college students. But the dependence actually kept on increasing and the problem of dependence actually kept on increasing when you kept on rising on grades, and especially when it came to research. So your friends were not reading the same books as I was supposed to, and then it was 100% dependence, because then uh, you know I could study only for say 1 hour or 2 hours in a day, because that's all I could afford at that time to hire a reader, a paid reader for it, and there were very few other sources to be able to read. And imagine that you have to, that's a time when you are supposed to be, giving a lot of time on um, your studies and completing your assignments, and just studying for 1 or 2 hours window for a day meant that it really took a lot of effort and a lot of time and a lot of frustration that came through at that time.
And this is in your PhD program.
This was in my MPhil and start of PhD, yes. And these are and then there were some incidences which were very, very moving incidences in a way that it got stuck in my brain forever. So
Mhm.
I had to submit an assignment to my supervisor, and I had completed all the work that was supposed to be done. And last day I just had to, you know, uh, put in some references, get the books, and finally note down all those references. Went to the library, had an appointment with a reader to help me with that. With the help of the librarian, took out all the books. I was sitting there with all the books that I required on the table right next to me, and the reader did not turn up. So you can imagine that the whole day or half a day or whole day went by, and that was the time when we did not have mobile phones, so there was no way of getting that information, whether that person has just got a little late, or is that person actually coming or not coming at all. And the whole day passed, and I felt like a fool and like an illiterate, totally, because books are right next to you and you can't do anything.
Right. Yeah.
So it really pinched very hard. And similarly, I was there in a college, and uh, they suddenly said that, okay, for getting your things done, you just have to submit this one more application. Obviously not pre-prepared for that application, and I just took a blank sheet and a pen in my hand and went out, and then trying to find anybody who's around at that time, saying that, oh, please, can you just write a letter for me? You know Again, it felt like typical scene of a movie where an illiterate is trying to get the letter through. So I mean, these are things when you are saying that you are getting the highest degree that the university can offer you, and you are still illiterate. I mean, that was something that really hit hard. And uh, so that is something that as soon as I got my first opportunity to touch a computer way back in 1993, I was in doing PhD, enrolled and registered for PhD for a year or so, and I saw that and I felt that I think this is giving literacy back to me. actually. And um, I then actually left my PhD in between. I didn't complete it. And I thought that this is the region where I would rather spend my time for research. And all my relatives and parents and everybody around me were saying, what exactly are you really trying to do with your life after completing all your university education? You're now restarting your education. This is the time when you need to settle, get a good job. And yes, I was getting good marks, so it was sure that I would become a professor in a college. I was all set for that. Everything cleared, all exams cleared for that, doing PhD and all that. And also started, since I was doing it in Indian classical music, I had started giving performances on stage, on radio. Everything was happening in that way. Life was set that yes, things were looking bright. But that decision came very, everybody says a very bold decision that left everything in between and almost restarted my educating myself. So now the whole thing was how to introduce this reading and writing system in India. And I was labeled as an elitist on that because in 1993 computers were hell of a cost. One single computer with speech synthesizer at that time used to cost, in today's money, it would cost something like 2 million rupees or so. I mean, at that time, it was 100,000 or 120,000 rupees for getting that. But just comparing it to today's money, I mean, that's how it felt getting a computer at that time. And
how did you manage to get it?
So first of all, I went to an organization which had the president of that organization had gifted a computer to that organization, and I was one of the first four people who were introduced to that computer, saying that okay, let's explore. I mean, it was very interesting time because nobody knew what we could do with that computer. So we were students, yet we were deciding what are we going to do with it. So, and there were no designated teachers because there was nobody who had learnt it before us. So we were students, yet we were also, in a way, exploring things for ourselves.
Yeah, you were trailblazers, huh?
So that was real fun. You were really exploring it. That's why I think it gave that big satisfaction that really became like a whole lot of a new research activity. So in first 3 months of my participating in that or being part of that organization in the National Association for the Blind in Delhi, I had established their braille printing, the computerized braille printing also. So because they had imported a braille printer, but nobody, somehow they were able to get it, but there was no support. So nobody even came to install that printer. So they just didn't know what to do with it. It was just lying there. And this computer was there, braille embosser was there. So I got that opportunity, just read through that whole manual, figured out how it would work, and kept learning with people around, community learning plus one teacher who used to come just once in a week, basically. And that's how the whole journey began. Real fun started there, I would say.
Yeah, but you had a very promising career as a professor, and you also probably had a career as an Indian classical musician, but you gave up both of the known good careers for something that you didn't know anything about, and you were willing to plunge into it.
Absolutely. And I would say that more than myself, I think it's a big bold step for. I mean, I give a lot of credit to my parents at that time because that was the time when I should have started earning and be economically independent and think of getting settled in life. And I took this decision, and they stood by me. They said that okay. I mean, because getting there, actually, what also happened is that meant that there was no job guarantee for me. And I
Yes.
actually joined National Association for the Blind at
Mm,
1/3 the cost of the fellowship that I was getting. So I was getting research fellowship.
mm,
I had to give up a fellowship because now I had picked up a job at National Association for the Blind in their computer
mm,
unit,
mm.
and it was paying me 1/3 of that, even that scholarship amount. I mean, it was just about pocket money. So uh, for good 10 years after that, parents sort of kept on supporting me, saying that, okay, I mean, you're getting into something which will benefit the society, so we will support your endeavors. I mean, which parents would do that? I
Yes,
mean,
yes, you're definitely blessed to have parents like that who understand not just your own needs, but how you would be impacting the society at large. I mean, today, I mean, would you call that as your turning point in your life, Dipendra? One of the turning points, probably?
big turning point. I mean, that was a big
Yes.
U-turn, and that support is overwhelming because if I would give you another example of how
Mm-hmm.
this support works. So, Indian classical music, of course, you would know yourself that it's a Guru Shishya Parampara also,
Yes.
besides the university education that I was into, and I was really, at that time immersed so much in it. I mean, my routine at that time was that I would practice my Indian classical music for more than 8 hours in a day and
I mean, even
start at
now
4
your
a.m.
voice sounds like a musician's voice only.
That I would say that's I would almost every time when people say that how is your music, I said I used to sing in my previous incarnation because but the
Yeah,
impact
yeah.
definitely of would be there in the voice and all that because really troubled that voice too much at that time. But more than that, again, my gurus, I mean, they spent a lot of time
Mm,
training me on
mm,
this.
mm,
And
mm.
when I decided to, slowly shift, I mean, it also happened gradually. First of all, I thought, okay, I'll start giving half a day to this and half a day I'll pursue my career in classical music.
Mm.
Then this became 24 hours and that became zero. And so it was a big shock and they were all renowned people. I mean, Singh Bandhus is under whom I was getting trained, and we were all set to, launch me and all that. And at that time, taking that decision that, okay, I'm leaving music and pursuing my career in something else. But after a few years, we were
Mm.
celebrating my Guruji's 75th his birthday and all that. So eh, all the shishyas were, getting onto the stage, and he was introducing his disciples and people who were around him.
Mm.
I had left music for almost 7, 8, 10 years by then,
Mm.
and I was still called. I was called on stage. I was introduced
Mm.
by him as his disciple, and in front of the whole music fraternity, he said, "This is one disciple who did not pursue what I taught him, but yet I am proud of him." I mean, I
Yeah,
who could be so generous? I would
right,
say
kind. Yes, yes.
it's amazing, actually. This kind of support
Yeah.
that I got.
I think when you set out to do something wonderful for the community, the divine definitely works in all kinds of ways, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. But now tell me, what are you focused on? And tell us more about Daisy Consortium. And I know that you have won a lot of national and global awards as well. So tell us the kind of work that you're doing.
So, one thing is that the mission is absolutely the same, so which I started with, which
Yeah.
is to be independent in reading and writing. And as I said, that was the main reason, the main frustration that was there, and I saw the possibility of that solution there. And so that has been the mission. Um, and there have been many phases to this mission. First of all, um, the critical problems that was to be solved was to make it compatible with Indian languages, to make it affordable, to create awareness about it so that people in India also could learn how to use it, and let people have the availability of all these things. So I think these were 4, 5, 6, 7 critical issues that required a lot of work, and which meant that there was a lot of engagement with the scientific community to develop these solutions for Indian languages. So I would put this in 2 different phases. Actually, the first phase was of unfortunately, almost lasted 25 years, which was to the filling up of this technology gap. To make this technology of screen reading softwares, etc., work in Indian languages, it took almost 25 years to solve. And this was now in 2018, finally, we were able to say that now we can read and write ourselves in and read anything in either through our eyes, ears, or fingers in 16 Indian languages. Now,
Wonderful.
to say that statement, it took from 1993 to 2018. So lots of ups and downs kept coming. I mean, in Hindi at least we could start doing this from 2007 onwards. And there are a lot of people who have contributed in this development. End of the day, it was the community of persons with blindness themselves who themselves came as developers when this finally got solved. So, yeah, I mean, it was sad in a way that the scientific community could not help in the way it could. We could not get the solutions that we could use. We were near somewhere, but we could not use. But then the blindness community themselves, by that time, few people had started becoming developers and these things, and we were all, bunch of working almost like gangs, together.
It's like what they call as a hackathon these days, right?
Yeah.
Like that you were working.
But it was very persistent. I mean, it was hackathon.
Yes.
The issue is that it's a spark. It just
Correct.
comes up and goes. But this is something where a community got together and we were all there at it for years.
Yeah, you had a marathon hackathon. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. So after 2018, then the issue now is that since the technology is there, why aren't people using it? So now it is shifted to this whole change management. And it's not small. I think the effort looks even bigger than what it was to even get it developed. So this is a completely different kind of a challenge now. Like what we say is, today I can read and write in all Indian languages, almost all Indian languages today, using my digital devices. I have access to millions of books. All that is happening for almost all Indian languages, and books that I can read, either listen to it or read it as large print or read it in Braille instantly. I mean, that technology exists right now, right? But 99%,
and that's through your digital library, right? That Sugamaya Pustakalaya.
Yes, Sugamaya Pustakalaya, and also the global libraries,
The Bookshare,
and also the Global Book Service. The Marrakesh Treaty came into being over there. So all these have been inherent part of the journey, actually. Participated in a big way in the passing of the Marrakesh Treaty also. So all legal issues, technology issues, and now how to take it to people issues. So that's a part of the whole journey in a way.
So what's the biggest problem in taking it to people? Sorry, Deependra?
Yeah. So I think it's a whole thing of uh, changing the behavior of how things are done, how people have
Yeah.
got habitual of doing things.
Mm.
That shift amongst the, I would say, organizational challenge is a bigger challenge than the individual challenge here.
Mm.
Changing an organization in the way how they are teaching, what is their teaching methodology, how they go about it, to something new, and to make them realize that the world has changed is a much bigger problem here. And so 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 it's definitely easier for people to just um, be dependent on writers for writing
Mm.
somehow. I don't know. I mean, that is also debate, not so universal, because going to give writing your exams through writers has its own set of huge challenges.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah. Especially if
very
they are
very big
new
challenge.
to you, how do
Yeah.
you really work with them? If they
Yes.
don't know anything about what you can and cannot do, how do you work with them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yet,
Yeah.
I think, I
That.
mean, still people are very reluctant to change.
Change. Mm. But I'm hearing some news, like the school in Hyderabad. They had a lot of students where they were giving all their exams using computers, no scribe.
Yeah,
Um,
so these are even, we have established that model um, here.
mm,
So, yeah, that school in Hyderabad has a very, very controlled sort of a setup. So,
mm,
it's a special school,
mm.
and they have, all the children who are there would sit and write their examination. I mean, that is something which should be replicated all across, in the
Yes,
sense that
yes.
that's how people should be writing.
Mm.
Besides, and it's not that they're propagating to leave Braille, not at all. I mean, what they're saying
Yes.
is, and what we also are completely propagating, is that the biggest change, one of the revolution that has happened, is that we can now read and write in the script that is being used by the rest of the world.
Yes.
So, which means that we can have written communication with the rest of the world. So,
Yes.
more than 200 years ago, we got the capability to read and write in Braille. So, new script
Mm.
came for us, but
Yes.
and it opened up doors for at least established connectivity with the written alphabet for us. But almost at the same level, I would say the revolution happened when we got this capability to read and write
Mm.
in the script that the rest of the world is using. Because then we are having this written communication with the whole of the rest of the world, and that has actually opened up or immense employment opportunities, subjects, STEM subjects, for example, and all that. I mean, that has
Yes.
got opened up just because we can have this written communication. A person can become a lawyer. A person can, uh, you know, be a banker. I mean, all these opportunities have opened just because we have this power to have written communication. Because in India we have a quota system for jobs, and the kind of jobs where persons were employed before we realized that yes, written communication is possible, but only places where no written communication was required. So we were just getting jobs as railway announcers, telephone operators, or
Mm.
caning chairs and all that. I mean,
And the call
these are
center?
no call center. I mean,
No,
because
at that
call
time, no
center
call
still
center.
you
Yeah.
had to
Mm.
uh,
Communicate. Mm.
have written communication. You had
Correct. Correct.
whatever you are talking about, you had to note down everything,
Mm. Mm.
right? And you could not note those things down in Braille
Mm.
for
Mm.
anybody else to see. So call centers is a system started for medical transcription, which
Yes.
meant that you had to listen to recordings and write it in the print
Yes.
script. So that came just because of computers, call centers.
Correct. Correct.
So that job was also in a way not open to us earlier.
Mm. Mm.
So this change, as I'm saying, I think this is a very big change that happened, and to make use of this whole part, we still struggle to convey this to the educationists that you can't start teaching. So what is the biggest dilemma that is happening today? A lot of people complete their complete education, do their masters, everything, and then they suddenly find that they are completely unemployable in this sector, in this today's world. And then we have so many CSR funds going into funding centers which are called employability trainings. Now, what is employability training? You train people for 6 months and you put them in a job. What do you train them on? Using computers to be able to read and write.
Yes.
Is that the time to teach people how to read and write after they have completed their education? Do you think
It's a
that
little late.
something that people start learning when they are not even gone to the school? Even preschool, parents start teaching them how to read and write.
Yeah.
Now we say that you complete your education and we will give you 5 months to learn how to read and write, and you have to now get a job on that basis. And reading and writing in Braille is so different to reading and writing in the print script. Concepts which you need to learn.
Yes.
Like, for example, in Braille, there is no concept of, font size, for example. Or how do you use bold, italics, underlining, color highlighting, putting things in table, graphics. All those things are such essential part of your written presentation. It's not plain text that you're writing all the time, wherever you're writing. Now, where do you teach? When do you teach all this to the child or to a person with blindness? Are we able to teach all of this in 3 months of employability training?
Yeah, it's hard.
It's a completely lost battle, actually.
Yeah.
So that is where we have created. We have our own resource center where we are in Saksham. We have a resource center where we have children who are right from day one. We started giving them this Braille plus IT training. We are not into special schools, so children go to mainstream schools. Whenever they go to the mainstream school, they go with a device. They don't go, even if they're children as early as class 2, class 3, they're actually carrying laptops with them. With that, what is happening is that the gap between the teacher in the mainstream school and the student is no longer there. Because then there is other people, the rest of the classmates are writing on their pen and paper, and the child with blindness is doing the same thing on a laptop or
computer.
On a tablet. And the teacher is able to see in the real time what this child is doing. So
and not having a scribe next to them and not dependent like the way you had to depend upon the reader or writer, right? Yeah.
And then this all these children, there was another very discovery that we made on this, that if you introduce this technology to the children when they are in class 3 or 4, then they are the ones who oppose going back to the scribe.
Yes.
So they will fight. They will really fight with you if you tell them that, okay, for any XYZ reason you can't, you're not allowed to use your computer to write your exam. They will give you hell, and they will say that no way, we are not going to write. I need my device. How can you deny me of this right and all that?
Right.
And it's absolutely opposite if you teach them, give them the same skill and when they're in class 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
Just lose those 2-3 years, and then you ask this child, okay, next day, now is your annual exam, class 8, write your own exam. They will start fighting with you. How can we? It is our right to choose. We want to choose, we want to give our exam with the writer. Who are you to stop us? They are fighting the opposite battle. They're saying that, okay, we will write our assignments, but when it comes to giving exams, we will only give it with the scribes. Because they're not confident. They're not habitual.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's a very, and that clearly shows what important role there is to introduce all this at early age.
Correct. You have a big task, Herculean task on your hand. And I think the viewers may not know much about what DAISY stands for. So can you describe a little bit more about what DAISY is all about? Yeah.
So DAISY is a parallel journey that started happening in 1999. So DAISY stands for Digital Accessible Information System. That's the acronym just for the information. But the real meaning of DAISY is that we moved to digital when it came to accessible books. Right, so either DAISY simply defines how this digital book should be. That digital book, and what do we mean by an accessible digital book or content? Which means that, like for example, if there are graphics, we have to have alt text which describes what that graphic is, or we should have a proper structure defined by heading levels, so that if you want to jump to next chapter or previous chapter or subsection, or even jump to next sentence or previous sentence while you are reading, you should be able to do it. And that happens that we call it markup. So there are special markups which are done that defines where are the boundaries of a sentence or a paragraph, or how do we define a table and how do we define a chapter heading. So all those things are properly defined, that how
they're
do you
standardized
have to do it
across.
Yes, and that's where
across all countries, right, Deependra?
Across, yes.
Yeah.
So DAISY's work, DAISY is an international network, and it was formed in 1996 when the world had started moving from analog to digital, from cassettes to computers for all the information. And that's when this DAISY sort of defined that we will do our accessible digital books in this way, so that books are usable all across the world. So no segregation of technology. And that's the role of this standardization, and that's the role of DAISY. So the books that are compliant to DAISY standards are called DAISY books. And then moving across in 2010, I believe that a strategical decision was taken that this standard should not remain only standard for persons with blindness. So when the world started moving towards digital books, this was in like Kindles, etc., started coming around 2000, 2005, somewhere in between that. So which means that the world was now moving towards digital books. And that is when they found that persons with blindness, this Daisy Consortium, had already defined and created standards for digital books. And they found that the work done by Daisy Consortium was of total top-notch quality. Those standards were robust, they were royalty-free, open standards, anybody could use it. So industry actually adopted what was created for persons with blindness.
Awesome.
And that's how EPUB came into existence. So it was mainstreaming of Daisy, which became EPUB. So Google's and Microsoft's and Apple and all these and Amazon's and Kindles and everybody then adopted those standards which were created for persons with blindness, and then that's how Daisy Consortium sort of decided that, okay, let's move our very critical maintenance of these standards to the mainstream industry. And that's how the Secretary General of Daisy Consortium became the president of the industry body. Imagine a person with blindness leading the whole industry. when it came to
That's
transitioning.
amazing. Awesome.
Yeah. So, um, challenge for me was, all these technologies were being developed for the high income group countries,
Hmm.
and most of the reading tools, etc., were so expensive because they were all created for deployment in US and UK and Canada. All
Hmm.
these high income group countries, they were developing these technologies. Obviously, you could not provide a Daisy player worth $400 or $600 in every child's hand in a country like
Hmm.
India. I mean, it was hell of a lot of money for
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
anybody to think of, and and that also went on tools, how to transition from your existing, like audio tapes. They had to be
Hmm.
transcribed,
Hmm.
made digital, right?
Hmm.
So they had to be captured and made digital. The tools for that transition, like for example, we were doing that same thing for our audio library in Delhi. We inquired about the equipment to do that, and it said that this piece of equipment, simple piece, would cost you $10,000. I said, we don't have that kind of money in India. How many people will be able to afford it? How many organizations will be able to afford that kind of a piece of equipment? Just so we did our innovations in modifying our cassette players so that we could get this same kind of an activity, that at 16 times speed we could capture the audio of a cassette to
Hmm.
digital on our computer. And we achieved the same thing by modifying our daily use kind of cassette players. So, uh, and how to then make this user equipment affordable for people? If we had Daisy books, what kind of Daisy players would work in India? I mean,
Hmm.
what kind of cost would work for India? And that is where a lot of effort went
Hmm.
in creating technologies which were deployable in developing countries, which were compatible with local languages. And I think that struggle still continues because developing countries is a huge. Uh, so we were able to solve it for India, and that gave us that confidence and that knowledge to how to do it for other countries. And that's why I was in a way in a privileged situation that I could play that role of director developing countries. That okay, now let's take it to Swahili.
Hmm.
What would it take to implement the same thing that we did for 16 Indian languages? How can we
Hmm.
do that same thing for other places? So that struggle now reduced from 25 years to just maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years type of
That's
things
fantastic.
now. Yeah.
You're able
So
to replicate
that's how
that,
I was thinking.
all
Yeah.
that experience in a different country and help them as well, which is awesome. But I know that still you have all the challenges, right? Because to even from EPUB to take a book and make it digitally accessible, it takes time and effort, right?
Oh, yes, it does. Again, I mean, at Daisy Consortium, you know, the 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 journey is very very good, because Daisy Consortium is one organization where still you would find that whosoever people are there not as employees, we are there as passionate people who are
Mm.
really dedicated um, to the cause. So, for example, our CEO, how does he spend his weekends? He spends his weekends creating a tool to use AI for this transition. So you can imagine that. So uh, how am I spending my holidays? How to do back translation and braille display for Indian languages? I mean, it may be not part of my job description, but this is something which we would do in any case, because that's our passion. So that's
Correct,
that's
correct.
what gives us satisfaction. So to your question, yes, AI is coming in a big way, and Daisy Consortium is spending a lot of efforts and resources, even our, as I said, weekends and moonlights, to solve this issue, bringing the time and cost for such changes to be done from an inaccessible digital book to an accessible digital book, I can tell you that the time it takes to do that work now has reduced to almost 33% with the help of AI tools.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's getting better every day.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I know that you really, we have a Herculean task ahead of us. And because of the passion that many of you have, the community is definitely benefiting. And I don't know what we would do if we don't have passionate people like you, Deependra. So hats off to you and all the very best for getting this technology to every single visually impaired and blind in India and all the developing countries as well. And of course, Access Braille would be very happy to be part of um, anything that you're doing. And we've been we worked with you in the past as well. So we can continue to work on any of those projects. Um, but I know that we've had a very beautiful conversation, Deependra, but I think our podcast is almost coming to an end. So I would like to ask you a couple of questions. One is, if you have unlimited resources, starting from people, space, money, and computing space and AI experts, name it, then what is the one thing that you would want to do for the visually impaired and blind?
Take this technology to the low resource regions of the country, or even in developing countries. So developing country is not a single entity. I mean, we have got like the rural areas where infrastructure and everything, I mean, all that you named, teachers, equipment, and all that support system is very, very low. And
Yes.
the situation of education over there is very, very pathetic right now, especially for persons with blindness. The gap between the persons with blindness and their peers is increasing even in those low resource regions, and they're getting left behind. So yes, if I have all those resources, I would want to fill up that gap immediately.
That's awesome, and all the best. And I'm pretty sure all that will happen soon as well.
God willing,
25,
yes,
yeah,
definitely.
25 years back, you probably did not think that you would have reading and writing capability in so many different languages using computers. But now that you've solved that, you can solve probably any other problem as well.
And of course, I mean, just to make this correction, that it's not just me. I mean, it's not just me who has
Yes,
solved this problem. I mean, it's a whole community, the whole
yes,
group people, and you know, that have come together to solve this
yes,
issue.
yes,
And
yes,
that's been the biggest hallmark of this.
yes, yes. Thank you for that. And what would be your advice to the young and young visually impaired and blind students?
Um, Currently, like, we are doing this something called Champions Network, that we are trying to get these young people involved in this. So
Hmm.
our thing to them is that uh, you know people, especially the youth who are fortunate to get access to these resources and technologies and
Hmm.
becoming capable,
Hmm.
take out some time of your life to replicate this around you. Make sure that, and what we are saying is that at least in 1 year, choose at least 3 to 4 people around you whom you are able to bring from non-digital to digital world.
It's wonderful.
Just by giving maybe 1 or 2 hours in a week, you could do
Mm.
that. And that's how the support and services will reach in the low resource regions of this country. Otherwise, center based system will not work.
Mm.
So it has to be the community, and that's how the youth can actually make the real difference over here.
Yeah, that's true.
And the currency, I mean, I really tell people that, the currency over here is not money. The currency over here is happiness and satisfaction. Because once you change any single person's life, and is able to kindle hope or bring that hope back into the lives of people and their parents. There is no amount of money that can, you know, be equal to that level of happiness and satisfaction.
Yeah, you can definitely say it from your own experience. You're probably one of the richest, huh? Along with your
I do
buddies
consider,
who are
yes,
working
absolutely,
in the community.
absolutely.
Yeah, 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 true. That fulfillment is what would make you work during your holidays and work
And
24
there's
by 7.
several
Yeah,
stories, use cases which are there.
yes.
Um, I mean, so to say that currently, even in Daisy Consortium, the
Hmm.
person whom I report to, the chief operating officer now,
Hmm.
is a person whom I had counseled for half an hour, um, and that changed, sort of brought him back to the the world of computers and for the world of this reading writing independence, and he sort of grew to that level that he is now my boss. So
Awesome.
so this is the biggest achievement I feel.
Yeah, that must make you feel so elated, huh?
Amazing.
Yes, yes, it is. It is amazing. I think, once again, kudos to people like you who are able to make such a big difference in the community because you have been through that and you understand the pain and you don't want that pain to be there for anybody else. Some time back they called it, one of the Stanford registrars, he called it intellectual vitality. And I really, really pray that people have more intellectual vitality and able to contribute more to the community and really, really nullify the gap between the sighted and the visually impaired and blind. So all the very best to you, Dipendra, and the people that are working with you. And please include me and Access Braille as well as one of the because part of the organization, so that we could help each other. And dear viewers, if you liked what you're watching today and it resonates with you, please go to www.accessbraille.org and see the volunteering opportunities. And of course, you could be part of this community and working with the Pendra and other people to help narrow down the gap or nullify the gap between the sighted and the visually impaired. Um, I want to give a big shout out to Ram Kumar, who is our production engineer and partner in crime with me, and Shankar Venkatraman for helping us with the audio. And of course, thanks to all the viewers and giving us some comments about how we can make it better. Thank you for that. And until next time.